Grand rising, grand evening, whatever time it is for you. So, in this spiritual community, we hear a lot about shadow integration and healing. These are things that are broadly mentioned and talked about quite often. Well, today I want to share what a shadow is, essentially, and how we go about integrating it. This is something I've spoken on in several times when I was over on TikTok, but I want to bring that conversation over here and just create this space container where we can explore this together. Now, before I get into this, I want to first make it very clear on my beliefs and my inner understanding of what a healer is, because this is very pivotal in regards to what I am about to share and speak on. It is my understanding that a healer is not meant to heal others. A healer is meant to offer the guidance, the wisdom, and the information and the tools to others so that they may awaken to their innate power and ability to heal themselves. We as humans all have the capability to heal internally. And so I am someone who stands very firmly against outsourcing healing. And that's not to be mistaken with seeking guidance, wisdom, and information from others. Earth is a school, and we are all the students and teachers simultaneously. And a big pivotal and instrumental part of connection and co-creation and evolution is learning from each other. But I'm specifically speaking to healing inner work by outsourcing that healing and reaching for something or someone external to you. You are everything you need to heal internally exists in you. You are powerful enough. You have all of the tools to heal. And in fact, when we reach outside of ourselves, whether that be reaching for Reiki or some external person to do energy work and healing work on you, that actually is feeding a very specific shadow that I will get into. And I know this is unpopular. My thoughts on not reaching for that third party or that outsource for inner healing, especially for those in the spiritual community who do Reiki and energy work. But this is something that I have a deep knowing and understanding of. And so I'm going to get into that in just a moment. Now, as far as what a shadow is, every shadow that we house in us is directly connected to a belief, a self-limiting belief that we have gone into agreement with. And when I use the word self-limiting belief, because for some reason that has such an odd connotation to it, I want to be clear that what I mean by self-limiting is any belief that you house within you that limits your ability and your capability to connect with yourself, to see yourself, to know yourself, and to fully, wholly, and consciously express yourself. That is what I mean by a self-limiting belief. Now, I want you to think about the really toxic, unsafe relational dynamics and situations that you have been in. And then I want you to think about triggers, the triggers that you've had throughout your experience. Both the connections, the environments, and the relationships that you've had and your triggers stem from these self-limiting beliefs. Now, there are many types of self-limiting beliefs that birth these shadows within us. But just to name a few, I think some of the most common are I am not loved, I am not felt, I am not seen, I am not heard, and I am not enough. Those specific self-limiting beliefs that we go into agreement with are what create and house these shadows that we talk about integrating. And if you think about any toxic relationships or environments, experiences that you've had, it is those specific self-limiting beliefs that kept you in those spaces and gave certain energies access to you. It is in housing those self-beliefs that you were open and receptive to certain mistreatments and certain toxicities and certain dangerous behaviors. Now, I want to touch on that last self-limiting belief. I am not enough, because I am not enough is directly connected to that outsourcing, reaching for a third party in regards to self-healing. There is this broadly accepted shadow here within the spiritual community, this subconscious belief that you cannot heal unless you have reached for someone or something to heal it for you. And I will say that when we outsource our healing, when we reach for something outside of us to heal something inside of us, it is much like you are reaching for a drug or a money or a shiny or a this or a that. And it is deeply rooted in instant gratification. But the thing about instant gratification, it is those are things that do not last. They may place a band-aid over the shadow. They may keep the shadow contained for a time, but what ends up happening is, because this is a quick fix, instant gratification, it creates this cycle of functioning dysfunction where in order to maintain that healing, you have to continue reaching for that external third party, for that external practitioner, for that external modality in order to maintain. When in reality, we all house the ability, the strength to heal that very thing within self. And the thing about when you yourself do the inner healing yourself, that is foundational. It creates a stable, safe foundation within you. That's another one. I'm not safe. That's another self-limiting belief. It creates a stable, safe foundation within you that is unshakable, unbreakable, and exists and stays there long term. Any work that you do, any inner work that you do in regards to shadow integration and changing those self-limiting beliefs removes the limitations to your self-connection and self-knowing and self-understanding and self-love and self-safety and self-ability, and creates this unshakable, unwavering thing that does not leave, and you don't fall into that cycle of reaching for something out here to maintain a healing or work that's happened within here. Now, I don't want this video to be too long, so I'm going to jump to how these limiting beliefs are directly connected to the shadows. Those things that I mentioned in the beginning of this video, I'm not safe, I'm not loved, I'm not enough, I'm not seen, I'm not heard, I'm not felt. Those are the shadows. Now, where triggers come into play those little activation points, because that's what a trigger is. The trigger is what activates that self-limiting belief that you've gone into agreement with, that shadow, and lets you know, hey, I am right here. I need your attention. I need to be brought out of the subconscious, out of the shadows, into your conscious awareness, so I can be seen, so I can be felt, so I can be heard, so I can be loved, so I know that I am innately enough and that I am valid. You see that intrinsic relationship that happens within self, between the conscious and the subconscious? Those very shadows integrate by facing them with the opposite of whatever that limiting belief was projecting out. So let's say, for example, that you have inner shadows that say, you are not loved, you are not seen, and you are not enough. And those are some shadows that are housed in your subconscious, right? And then you, because of these subconscious limiting beliefs that you've gone into agreement with at a soul level, you then find yourself in these places, situations, and connections that trigger and reinforce and feed those specific shadows and subconscious limiting beliefs that are housed in the subconscious. They feed them. The way that you integrate those shadows is by facing them. And by facing them and looking at them and recognizing that those shadows exist inside of you, you are then projecting to that subconscious, now in your conscious awareness, no longer in the subconscious, because you're aware of these shadows and these self-limiting beliefs within yourself. By simply looking at them and acknowledging them, that sends the message that those shadows are seen, they are heard, they are felt, that they are valid. And that is when you can go into the journey of accepting them, holding them, loving them. It is through the loving them, meeting them with non-judgment and loving those aspects of you, that they then integrate. And that is when the subconscious limiting belief transcends into simply a sovereign potential, sovereign belief. It's alchemy is what it is, but it is an inner alchemy, and there's nothing outside of you that can create that for you in a way that is stable and sustainable for the long term. Anything that you reach for outside of yourself, anyone claiming that they can fix you, that they can heal you, that they can make it all better, are simply slapping a band-aid on your healing. They are stagnating a very necessary and natural process in regards to inner sovereignty building, and it's basically like putting a dampener or a brake on your deepening connection with self and awakening to your innate power and ability to do the very things that you are seeking outside of yourself for yourself, because you can do it. All of the information, all of the knowledge that you need, all of the tools, the healing exists in you, and it starts by connecting with you. And when it comes to shadow integration, it is a very uncomfortable process. And I think that that's why true healers, like people who, a true healer is simply someone who has done that themselves. They have brought in their subconscious limiting beliefs into their conscious awareness, and they've integrated their shadows. And then they have a process, tools, knowledge, and guidance to offer others to awaken to their own innate ability and power to do the same. I do not believe that healers are meant to heal others. I believe that we all, as sovereign souls, have the capability to heal ourselves. And a true healer simply mirrors that truth back to you, offers the guidance and the information and the words, and maybe even like what to look for, so that you can go through that process with yourself, because it is through the process that you create that firm, stable, unshakable, unwavering foundation within yourself that cannot be taken, irregardless of what is happening around you. And when you integrate shadows, when I'm not enough, I'm not loved, I'm not felt, I'm not heard, I'm not seen, turns into I love me, I see me, I feel me, I validate me, I hear me, and I am enough inherently, no one can take that away from you. And that's never going to be something that you have to reach out to someone else to give you, because they cannot give that to you. The only person, being, energy that can give that to you is you. They can offer you instant gratification, short-term hits. Essentially, it's like a drug, right? You can get here, even in the spiritual community, you can get caught in these loops of outsourcing your healing. And again, that is not to be mistaken for sharing knowledge, wisdom, and information. We should always do that. It is so beautiful in this earth school to be that teacher and student at all times, right? To share, to learn, to be open and receptive, to exude. That's beautiful. That in itself is a type of alchemy that happens between interpersonal relationships and between fractal to fractal and throughout the collective. That's beautiful. I'm specifically speaking to healing. Healing is a very innate process that cannot be maintained without the process. I do hope that I'm making sense here. But to summarize and wrap up this video, our shadows are simply limiting subconscious beliefs about self that we have gone into agreement with. And the limiting beliefs limit our connection and awareness to self. But not only limit our connection and awareness to self, they limit our access to our sovereign potential. Our sovereign potential exists in those shadows, those unintegrated aspects of us that once integrated become the very thing that you are seeking external to you. The very love, the very validation, the very awareness, the very knowing, the very stability, the very safety, the very being seen and heard and felt and known. You can access all of those things in you first, and they are found in your shadows, and you figure out and you are made aware of those shadows by what parts in you are being triggered by what is happening around you. Because a lot of the times, the types of experiences and environments we put ourselves in, because it's important that we, as sovereign souls, take responsibility, partial responsibility for the spaces, places, connections, and environments that we find ourselves in. Not with judgment, though, because you don't know what you know until you know, right? But it's still important that we become aware and acknowledge that in order for us to have been in those situations, those spaces, and those places, there was something in us, an agreement, a self-agreement that told us that it was okay for us to be treated in those ways, or to maintain and remain in those environments, or to ingest harmful things. That is accountability, and accountability leads to sovereignty, self-accountability. So I think that that is a pretty good broad overview. I will probably talk about this more in the future, but yeah, those self-limiting beliefs that we tell ourselves are the shadows, and the triggers are the roadmaps to the shadows. They're the activation or connection points that tell you what it is, so that you can turn around and into that subconscious and look at it, acknowledge it, because there's so much untapped potential in you that is hiding just beyond in your blind spot, essentially, just beyond your awareness. And it really is in meeting all aspects of you with curiosity, including your triggers. It's very important, including your triggers. That is what leads you to beliefs that you might have about yourself that simply just aren't true. And a lot of those beliefs weren't even put there by you. These are things that have been, ingrained in us, indoctrinated into us, manipulated into us from very early ages. And they're there. And those triggers are telling you that they're there, and that they need your attention, so that these false beliefs about self can be integrated and alchemized into truth. The truth that you are loved, you are seen, you are felt, you are known, you are heard, you are safe, and you are enough. And the first person in your life that needs to know that and tell you that is you. And so shadow integration and shadow work is how you get to that inner truth that no one and nothing outside of you can ever take from you or give you. Anyways, that's all I had to share today. I'm sending you guys so much love to the universe and beyond. Bye.